Hi, going to try to give you some tips on the Metric and Measuring System Lab. Um, so here's what your worksheet looks like. Hopefully you can see that. Um, so I just give you a couple samples of how you do this. Also, I would watch those other links I put up to help. So okay, question number one here is about conversions, converting between units in the metric system. So, liter is the base unit for volume, and here we have 35 milliliters. So milliliters is going to be 1/1000th of the base unit. So we have 35 thousandths of a liter if we have 35 milliliters. And we're going to convert that to deciliters, which is 1/10th of the base unit. So to go from 1/1000th to 1/10th, we would want to move the decimal place 2 to the left. So 35 milliliters becomes 0.35 deciliters. So we moved 35, 2 to the left is 0.35. 1, 2. Or you could think of that as dividing by 10 two times, or dividing by 100. Alright, so I'll do one more example for you. 15 grams. Gram is the base unit for mass, and we want to convert that to milligrams, which is the units of 1/1000th of a gram. So since there's 1,000 milliliters in a gram, we'd simply move the decimal place 1, 2, 3 to the right, or multiply by 1,000. Multiply by 10 3 times. So 15 grams would become 15,000 milligrams. Alright. I'll skip down a little bit. In this section 2, you're using this little fake ruler here, and it's not an accurate ruler, but you're going to use it to make sure you can read a ruler. Alright, so this is a centimeter ruler, so you can go ahead and fill out the centimeter column just by looking at where the arrows are. So I'll help you with the first one here. Arrow A is 1/2 of 1 centimeter, or 0.5 centimeters. Alright. To convert that to millimeters, we have to move the decimal place 10, one place to the right, or multiply by 10. So, if you notice, there's 10 millimeters in each centimeter. If you count these tiny little marks, those are the millimeters, and there's 10 of them in 1 centimeter. So if we have 1/2 a centimeter, then there's 1/2 of 10, that's 5. So there's 5 millimeters in 1/2 of 1 centimeter. How many meters is that? Okay, so centimeters is 1/100th of a meter. Meter is the base unit for length. Centi means 1/100th. So we have 1/2 of 1/100th of 1 meter. Alright, so how do you convert that to meters? Well, if you go back up here to this little chart, centi, 1/100th of the base unit. So to get back to the base unit of meter, we would move the decimal 2 to the left. So 0.5, move 2 to the left, is going to be 0.005. And so we're talking about 5/1000ths of a meter. And that fits because 5 millimeters, a millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. So 5 thousandths of a meter is equal to 5 thousandths of a meter, is equal to 1/2 of 500ths of a meter, which is 5 thousandths of a meter. Okay, so that's how you do the first section there. And again, those other videos I posted might help explain the metric system a little more to you. Alright, question 2 here. You're going to take a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, print this page out, cut this out, and use that as your ruler. You're just going to measure the line segments. So you're measuring the line from A to B. And then you're going to measure the line from A all the way over to C. And you measure the line from A all the way over to D. And then from A all the way over to E. So the lengths should be increasingly long. And then once you get all the centimeters written out, you convert them to millimeters and meters just like you did up here. Alright. Section 3 here, question 3. This is stuff you're going to measure at your home using the fake ruler. If you don't have a real ruler, if you have a real ruler, please use the real ruler. And measure in centimeters, and then you can convert those. So just pick a table at your house. It could be your coffee table, your kitchen table. If you have a kitchen table, use your kitchen table. Diameter of a penny. All right, diameter is the distance across the circle, the widest part. Length of a calculator. If you don't have a calculator, length of your cell phone. Length of a colored pencil. It doesn't have to be a whole pencil. Length of a book at your house. It can be a little book. It can be a big book. I'm mostly interested in how you convert these from one unit to the next. As long as you don't put down a ridiculous measurement, you'll be fine here. For instance, if you say your kitchen table is 3 centimeters tall, that's ridiculous. If you say your penny, well, your penny needs to be accurate because you should be able to get a penny and measure that. If you say your calculator is 3 meters long, that's ridiculous. But if you say it's anywhere from 12 centimeters, give or take a few, that's reasonable. So it don't have to be any specific measurement, but they have to be reasonable. All right, next section, you're going to pretend you're measuring graduated cylinders. Graduated cylinder, you can look up pictures of what those look like online if you don't already know. It's a way to measure volume. And what you find is if you fill a cylinder with water, the water will form a curve as the water kind of tracks up the side of the glass. It's a little sticky and it sticks to the side of the glass, and so it forms this curve, and that curve is called the meniscus. And when you're measuring the volume, you always want to read from the bottom of the meniscus, not from the top. So this first example here, I noticed there's 50 milliliters. Cylinders usually measure milliliters, so that's what the units are here. So 50 milliliters to 60 milliliters, and if you count the lines, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines between 50 and 60. So that means each one of these is 1/10, or I'm sorry, not 1/10, but 1 milliliter. So 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So here we've got 55, 56, 57 milliliters. Alright, so go down. I didn't give you space. You're going to have to insert a little place to write this. You can just type it down at the bottom here, 57 milliliters, and you can type your next one. Actually, since they're written across, you could do like 3 rows of 3. So this next one would be X milliliters, and your next one would be Y milliliters. Got 3 rows of 3. Be careful on these. Some of these do not represent 1 milliliter per line. For instance, right here, if you count between 20 and 30, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So each one of these lines represents 2 milliliters. So be careful. Alright. This section here is mimicking a 3-beam balance. How do you read a 3-beam balance? Well, first off, you balance the object. You put an object on the balance. You've got 3 beams that are all set to 0. You move the balances until the little needle comes to 0, indicating the object is equal in weight or mass to the little weights you've moved around on these 3 beams. So if on this first one, we've got the three beams. One beam's reading 300, the other beam's reading 20, the other beam's reading 2.2. So we add all those up, and that's 322.2 is the mass of the object that made balance when the beams were set like that. Alright, so you just fill those out, you write them in here, and then do some research on this question about the water, figure out what the density of water is. Alright, and then temperature, there's some helpful videos in the lab folder about Kelvin and Celsius, but you don't really have to watch them, but you should. Here you're just simply reading these thermometers, and be careful. Some of these will have 2 degrees per line again, so count the lines here. There's 5 lines between 40 and 50, so each one of these represents 2 degrees. So it looks like it's just about even with the third line, so that's 46 degrees for this one. And you don't have to write in the little degree symbol because it's kind of a pain to do that. If you wanted to do it anyway, you could go to Insert, and I'm off the screen here, but you go to the symbol button on the far right, and you could pick from the list of symbols there. And I'm not seeing a degree right off. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. So that's how you do that. Okay, just make sure you save your work and attach it to your assignment before you submit. And good luck with that assignment.